So, I actually had a pretty cool thought just now as I felt my ego trying to cling to something where I have this sense inside me of like my inner voice and my inner silence. Calvin. Being like louder and stronger than anything going on within me. And I've been really growing this silence inside me. And I'm at a point where, at least today, right now, it's at least a little louder than my ego, to the point where I can focus on that voice and the other voice of my ego goes away. But I have to keep practicing it until my essence actually lets the thought go, whatever it is causing me suffering. So I felt my mind clinging to a perception of something that had happened. And when something first happens, we look at it, we take it in, right? And the longer that you evaluate something, the more perspectives that you have, the more angles that you have to look at it. And sometimes there's benefit in doing that, but not when it's perpetuating the suffering. And it's not helping to transform the suffering. And I knew the truth, like I knew what the truth is about the subject. And my mind was just trying to spin it. It was like I was processing my individual preference and perception of what happened, but I wasn't attached to it. There was some suffering, but I wasn't attached. My mind, though, was almost like, but shouldn't you be? Shouldn't you attach to this? How else are you going to feel better about it, right? So there's that kind of going on in my head. But I know that what makes me feel better is releasing it and letting it go. Believing that pleasurable and vibrant silence inside me. The silence that feels like wholeness. Not the one that feels like emptiness and longing. That's not the kind that I mean. It's very specific. But I realized that the things that come and go, they are just gonna come and go. And holding on to anything, whether it's something that you like or don't like, you can only savor something for so long. Say you're eating some ice cream and it's a flavor you don't like, but you decide to eat it anyway. There's a time limit on how long you can savor something. Like, think about it. Even if you did like it, you can only taste the taste for so long while the ice cream remains cold. Like, there's a natural timing of things and how they're meant to be enjoyed or experienced. Like ice cream, unless it's like frozen, regardless of whether it's supposed to be soft serve or hard serve, that's a preference. Ice cream within itself is supposed to be cold. It's supposed to be frozen. So there's a certain timing that we have to have. From freezer to bowl, and consuming it and savoring it, whether we enjoy it or not, for it to maintain its integrity as ice cream. And regardless of whether you like something or you don't, you have to respect the natural time of things. Imagine if you just kept a bite of ice cream in your mouth for 2 weeks. Number one, it would for sure spoil. Number two, how are you going to consume literally anything else while it's in your mouth? I feel like I saw a video once, and it was actually about definitely not milk. And it was talking about how we have digestive enzymes in our mouth. Like, how long would it take for those enzymes to break up, food or whatever, if it's in our mouth? And our mouth actually, could fully digest food if we left it in there long enough. But it's not practical. And that's what it's like with our mind and our ego. Can you process it with your mind and ego? Yeah. Yeah, objectively, yes, you could. But is it going to serve you to do it that way? Is it actually the most efficient way? Chances are it's not. Thinking about something and being mindful are two different practices. They come from two different places in terms of the decision around the practice. Both obviously involve addressing your thoughts. But a lot of the time, our thinking happens in a reactive way. It takes a very trained mind to be 100% deliberate. And that's why the practice of being mindful is a practice. And that's why they call it being mindful and not thought controlling or thought trafficking, or whatever. Because you're not meant to control your thoughts. You're meant to bring your awareness to them, to evaluate them. But if you're already evaluating your thoughts, what are you evaluating them with? Are you evaluating your mind with just another aspect of your mind? Or the pure awareness that you are? Because one of them tells the truth every time. And the other perspective is fleeting and self-serving. It doesn't mean that it can't tell the truth, but it won't be the ultimate truth. So keep that in mind.